Hi, this is Michelle with Laughing Gardens, and today I wanted to talk to you about growing peppers. Now, peppers are incredible because they come from all over the world, so you can find them in all kinds of different amazing cuisines. They have all kinds of different colors and different levels of spiciness, which just make them so much fun, not only to find in the farmer's market, but also to grow in your own backyard. So today I want to talk about what I'm going to start. It's February here in New Mexico, which means that it's right about the right time to start looking at peppers and tomato plants. Now, in my little corner of paradise, I would like to have peppers from as early as I can to as late as I can, because I really love the idea of my children being able to just pick their snacks off of the garden. I know that peppers have a lot of really, really fantastic health benefits, and my family's trying to eat a lot more vegetables. And also there are a few peppers that I'm really excited about growing this year because they are from different parts of the world, and I'll get to try some different kinds of recipes that I normally wouldn't. So when we are getting ready to start peppers, there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind. And the first is that we're going to start with a good seedling mix. Now, I'm just using whatever I found at the nursery, but the difference between seedling mixes and potting soil is that seedling mixes tend to be sterile, meaning that they don't have all of the really, really great stuff that goes into potting mixes that might also have some funguses that will kill young and really vulnerable plants. They also don't have seedling mixes also don't have a lot of nutrition, which is fine because very young plants don't need it. They have it all in their seeds. So I'm going to start with some seedling mix, and then I'm going to decide how many varieties of peppers I'm going to have and how many plants I'm going to have. Now, each plant will generally give me about 6 peppers, and the rule of thumb is that you should plant between 3 and 4 peppers per person per person that you want to feed. So we have 4 people in my family, and I want to grow a few extras so that I can do things like can and make some really interesting pepper jams. So I'm actually going to plant 15 pepper plants in my garden this year. I'm going to have 2 or 3 of each of the kinds of peppers that I am going to grow, and I'm growing about 5 different varieties because I tend to go overboard. The first pepper that I'm going to plant is called Myra, and the reason I'm going to plant it is because it's got a 54-day window, which means that it should be ready by about 4th of July, or maybe the week after. So one of the things that people ask a lot and that confused me for a long time is a lot of times on seed packets you'll see days to maturity, and on peppers and tomato plants that actually doesn't mean from the time that you plant the seed to the time that the seed is ready for harvest. With these plants, what that actually means is from the time you transplant the seed out to the time, or out into the world to the time of harvest. So with peppers and with tomatoes, our last frost date is about April 16th, as I recall. We don't really want to plant peppers and tomatoes outside in the wild until about after Mother's Day. So mid-May is a good time. So then we'd count 54 days after that, and that puts us at about early to mid-July, is when our first peppers would be ready. So these are white peppers, and they're from Poland. And so what we'll do is when it comes to planting seeds, I used to be super, super into just planting them, and I try to figure it out later. One of the tricks that I've learned is that before I even plant a plant, I actually make the planting seed, or the planting labels. So with these guys, I am gonna actually start 1 flat of peppers, and they're gonna be 72 of them, or 72 little holes. And I'm gonna have 1 of these guys in the center of each hole, because what I'll probably wind up having to do is up-pot these little guys sometime between now and Mother's Day, because they'll grow out of the pots and they'll be all ready. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is heat. peppers need about 70 degrees to germinate and be all ready. So this is a heating mat that I'm going to use, and I'll put it right underneath the pepper plants. And what it is it's basically a little heating pad, so it doesn't get real hot, but it definitely adds enough heat to the soil so that the plants will grow and grow happily. The third thing that we need to talk about are grow lights. Now, grow lights are super controversial, but I have found that by just using some cheap fluorescent work lights, that totally works. So a lot of times I get really confused as to like, why would I need grow lights? And the answer is this. In my neck of the world, there's about 10 hours of daylight right now in February. And peppers need a minimum of 12 hours of daylight to germinate and be super happy. So to compensate for that, I'm going to put a cheap fluorescent light on a grow light and on a grow switch, so it'll go on and off. I want that fluorescent light as close to the plants as possible so that they get the most amount of sunlight that they can. I will turn the light off in the middle of the night because they are plants and they need the dark, just like light. So that's how that setup is going to work, and I'll absolutely add that to the video so that you can see what the final setup will look like. And so then today I'm going to start planting pepper plants, and I look forward to talking to you next time. I will show you what the final result looks like in a moment. So I wanted to show you what the pepper plants look like all set up. They have the heating mat underneath, and the reason for me that this heating mat is here is because you'll notice that I'm in a greenhouse. If I were doing this in my kitchen, I probably would not include a heating mat just because my kitchen usually stays between 65 and 70 degrees, and that's pretty much warm enough for peppers or tomato plants. But because it gets a little bit colder out here, I've added a heating mat. I've also added some fluorescent lights. These will give the plants just enough light to be happy and to not get too spindly and to grow. They'll be on for about 16 hours a day. After that, they will be in the dark out here in the greenhouse, but it will be warm. In about 5 to 7 weeks, these guys will be ready to go out into the garden, which is kind of crazy. Actually, 5 to 8 weeks. Probably after Mother's Day. And I look forward to showing them to you and sharing my harvest. Thank you.